Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are once again watching Astroteric TV. I'll be your one and only host, the Astro Guru. And it wouldn't be Astroteric TV without the gra. Here we are again, our 107th episode. Thank God for that. January 14th, Sunday. And our topic of discussion is being lonely and being alone. Because there's a big difference. It's a convoluted conundrum. Again, because everyone who's alone isn't lonely, and everyone who's lonely isn't alone. It's funny how you can be surrounded by a room of people and still feel misunderstood, still feel like you're not heard or not seen, like nobody notices you. And it's unfortunate. It's a dreadful feeling. That's the feeling that makes people feel desperate. Like that's the feeling of despair. And it'll make you think crazy about yourself, like make you think you're not worth anything, like you have no value, like you can't do anything right, when in all actuality you're just in the wrong place. You have much value. And when you find where you should be and the people you should be around, there'll be no better feeling. But until you get there, there's this transition in between where you gotta take the time to be alone so you can actually notice when you see it, that it is for you. It's like walking through fog and haze, trying to make your way. And although it's an unfortunate situation, it'll teach you a lot about yourself. It'll teach you how much you're really capable of. It'll make you dig deeper than you've ever dug before. Sometimes I just gotta, this is actually what I do most of the time. Sit back and self-reflect and think about the events of my life, how they took place, who was involved, who hurt me, who helped me. And I realized I've lived at 33 years quite a beautiful life. And it also makes me understand that in some way, every life is a beautiful life. In some way, every life is a beautiful life. It just takes us finding a way to give our lives meaning. So, you always see me alone because that's where I feel most comfortable. That's where I feel safest. And until I can feel comfortable in someone else's energy enough to where it's almost like looking in the mirror, where it's like, I know this person loves me. Like, don't get me wrong, I have people that I know love me, but at this point, we're all still working through traumas and, pain. So it's hard to express love to each other the correct way. Sometimes as human beings, we're just, we're still animals. And if you ever notice, like, you see like a stray dog or one of those like dogs from like the pound or something that have been abused, even if you have good intentions and you mean no harm, you can't just like walk up on them with your hand out because you can't make no sudden motions because you kind of get scared. Like you used to being on high alert your whole life. So when people do approach you with the correct love, you still can't see it. And it actually takes somebody being patient with you, who's understanding and can comprehend and be able to take the fact that, all right, I might get bit a few times, but this dog or this cat is worth loving. And it's hard for people to do that sometimes because you feel like, oh, you just bit the hand that feed him. Now I don't want him. And then you might just kick him. And it's like, well, I've been getting kicked around and beat up my whole life. So you can actually develop a comfort there, which is why when people get older, they actually choose to be around what's familiar, no matter how painful it is, because it's like, oh, I'll get over that. You've been dealing with the same thing for so long. You don't understand how to do different. But I've become a big fan of walking into the unknown because everything I've known for so long was so painful. So, yeah. I used to be lonely until I started just being alone. When I realized I won't hurt me, like, I can, it's possible, and I have. But when you're tired, when enough is enough, when you don't want to go through it anymore, that's when it's time to give up. And I know as much as we say don't give up, there's some things that you have to give up on. Because the more and more you try, it becomes insanity. You're going to get the same result. There's no way I can make 2 + 2 = 18. There's just no way. It's not possible. Unless I add a process. Because that 2 + 2 is going to equal this 4. But I can take that 4 and go find 12 more. Like, and then, you feel me? Then after that, I can find another 2. Like, but I don't know. Maybe I know what I'm talking about. Maybe I don't. I guess we're all just trying to figure it out, make sense out of it, right? I know there's peace in being alone. And I know I'm no longer lonely. I know I've been around 10, 15 people, family members, and just felt like nobody ever understood me. Besides, I don't think people understand what I mean when I ask the question of, if you hear a voice when you think, then who's listening to it? Like, who's listening to the voice? Because if you're speaking in your head, then who's listening? And if you're listening, then who's speaking? So as much as I'm by myself, I'm never by myself. Like, neither are you. You are never truly alone. If you understand this concept, then you'll be able to grasp the whole thing. Right now, I'm by the remote. The remote isn't part of me. I'm sitting by it. So if you ask me who I'm with, I'm by myself. You just don't see myself. Myself isn't on the camera. My shell is, but myself, it's somewhere else. If you notice, it's on top of it. But if you notice, like the word shelf, it's like self, and shelf, like a shelf is like a shell and a self together. So like if you're guess what? When you go over to the shelf, you don't grab the shelf, You grab what's on the shelf. Well, every day we present people with the product. This avatar. This is what's on the shelf. The actual shelf is deep in you, but it goes up, which is why they call it a higher self. Because it's up high. It might be at the top of the shelf, the last one. Like, you already done went this high. And right on top of that is where you're trying to get. Make sense? Maybe, maybe not. You'll figure it out. But everyone who's lonely isn't alone, and everyone who's alone isn't lonely. I just pray that we all find our peace, our happiness in this roller coaster of life, and make the most of it, because we're here for a good time, not too much of a long time. I just had to grasp the concept one day that if I really just had one try at this and could never come back again, how much of it do I want to experience? As much as possible. So now that I've experienced enough bad, 30 years of bad, I guess is where I get the 30 years of good. Because I've been feeling marvelous and wonderful. And I wish that everyone else could feel the same way. That's why I do this. That's why I started a channel. If y'all look back and see my old videos, I was a totally different person. The delivery was different. My mindset was different. I still had the aspirations. I still had the knowledge. I still had the tools, but they were misused probably. But I used them nonetheless, and I'm proud of myself for that. I worked my way through it, and here I am, a better version. And what you'll be seeing in the future very soon is another better version. So this is really what this is. This is documentation of my wisdom and enlightenment phase, my wisdom and enlightenment journey, as well as my light shining, me shining my light. Because when I'm gone, these videos will still exist. You'll still be able to go on here, click these videos and say, man, he really knew what he was talking about back then. Like, maybe you get it one day. That's what I pray. That's what I do it for. That's how I got it. Life is beautiful, precious. Take care of it. Yours and everyone else's. Till next time.